So my name is Emily Abramson, and the project that I did for social entrepreneurship was a city grocery store, and it is a farm to grocery project within a food desert in Baltimore City. So just a little bit of background on this project. Food deserts in Baltimore are a huge problem. It's 1 in 4 neighborhoods in Baltimore are classified as a food desert. Food desert is when the residents of a neighborhood live more than a mile away from a grocery store with access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And food deserts lead to nutritional deficits, and a neighborhood being a food desert is also pretty indicative of there being an employment slump within the neighborhood. So the best way to combat food deserts are change at a grassroots level. A lot of these neighborhoods are underprivileged and underserved by bigger institutions, so change from the ground up is often the most productive. My concept statement is a community-run farm-to-fork grocery store. That means the farm would be in the Baltimore community as well as the grocery store, so there would be less travel, less cost factored in those ways. This would happen by converting empty lots to garden space. 1 in every 3 homes in Baltimore City is vacant, so there are a lot of empty spaces and empty lots that can be converted to spaces to garden and spaces to keep the produce to sell to the community. The produce that is raised is sold to the community and community members, so the effort that the community puts into the farm is seen on the other end, with people having access to those fruits and vegetables that they wouldn't normally have access to. Additionally, this organization would provide educational materials to help residents learn more about nutrition and learn more about how to prepare healthy foods and healthy meals for their families. So there is some competition in landscape. This organization does not, of course, exist in a vacuum. Our market segment, first off, would be the community, and there's a big section of community involvement required in order to make this project work. The community would be primarily maintaining the farm. They would be hired on to take care of the produce, to rear the produce, and also hired to maintain the grocery store and sell the produce. Additionally, if the community is not interested in buying the produce, then we don't have our funding and we won't be a successful business. There's a lot of red tape just inherently in organizing an urban farm. There's a lot of licenses that need to be maintained and obtained. There's a lot of hurdles that you have to jump through to make sure that the farm and the farming is done in a legal fashion. And this whole project would be initiated with grant funding. I say that our goal is sustainability because while grant funding is good and while grant funding will help us get us off our feet, we don't want to rely on that in order to be a successful business, because this is a business. We are selling our produce to the community at large. The grant funding ideally would just be to get us on the ground running, get everything started up, get the farm established, and then after that, hopefully we will be able to produce enough fruits and vegetables to maintain our business costs. And we do have local competition. A lot of these neighborhoods, while they don't have bigger grocery stores with access to a lot of produce, there are a lot of corner stores. Corner stores are very, very big in Baltimore. So that is a potential area of strife and of conflict. However, collaboration would be possible, and it is absolutely plausible that we could look into supplying these corner stores with fruits and vegetables, and kind of work together to get the neighborhood healthier. And we do have funding needs, as I said. We do need startup funds to create the garden. Creating a garden is very expensive, especially when you are establishing a garden in an urban space that doesn't have very healthy soil. Additionally, we need funding to create the grocery store and cafe space. We would need separate funding for the first year for hiring on farmers, storefront workers, educators, and other people from the community, of course. We need funding to pay them so they can do this as a job and that they're not just volunteering, because that's not fair to them. It takes a lot of time to start a storefront and start a farm. and these people deserve to be paid for their work. And our general outline of a plan is to have continual funding at a waning scale for 3 to 4 years. But like I said, our goal is self-sustainability by 5 years of production once we've kind of gotten on our feet. And then just a few levels of impact and goals. Our 1-year goals are just to raise awareness of nutritional needs within the community, and a willingness to restructure budgets at the individual level to allow for produce purchasing. A lot of people don't buy produce because they don't like the way it tastes or they don't like the way it's prepared. So kind of enhancing that knowledge will be very helpful. And developing healthy cooking habits is key for getting return customers, which is really what our goal is. Our goal is to have returning customers from the community that change their shopping habits in order to shop at our grocery store. Medium-term goals are continued behavioral changes. These changes happen over time and are linear. They don't happen overnight. And we want our produce to be continually accessible. We don't want the prices to be so high that people aren't buying. And like I said earlier, we want to retain shoppers, and we want growing community interest and participation. As I said earlier, this is a community effort, and if the community is not involved, then we are not doing our job correctly, and we won't be a successful business. And our longer term goals are, of course, becoming self-sustainable, both with our workforce and in terms of money. We want to see permanent changes for the better in nutrition habits of the community members, and we want to become an integral part of the community. And kind of going off of that, we want medical costs reduced due to positive nutritional changes, and we want chronic disease and illness reduced, which is very, very long term. This is going to be seen 20, 30 years down the line at the earliest. And that is all I have today. Thank you so much for listening.